Thanks for visiting me. I knew you'd still have my back.
How could I not have your back after what you've done to my back?
This whole thing's a setup. They got nothing on me. Sure, they found some ARs with the serial numbers filed off, and 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and some guys chained up in my basement.
Whose house doesn't have that? Don't worry, Diddy. I'm gonna get you out of here.
What's the plan, Meek?
Call up my white billionaire friends. Robert Kraft got out of having his monkey spanked by an Asian masseuse. He can get you out of this.
Thanks, Meek. Take that. Take that.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. P. Diddy got indicted today, and they said that they're not going to let him out on bail until his court sentence, until his court hearing. Finally, they got this guy. Piece of crap. He is a straight piece of crap. After seeing that video with what he did with his ex-girlfriend Cassie in the hallway, and rumors have been floating around about this guy for a very long time.
Sean Diddy Combs is in a federal courtroom this morning. The Combs is facing charges of sex trafficking and racketeering.
I am announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there.
I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing.
Yes, we applaud you. We're going to talk about a problem that we have in young America.
This is a direct impact on their lives.
Me personally, I think he had something to do with Tupac's murder. Growing up, like Tupac, Biggie, those were the music guys in my era. And I think he had something to do with Tupac's murder, possibly Biggie's murder. Stephen A. Smith is going to talk about the indictment today with P. Diddy, that piece of crap. And he gets what he deserves, and I'm glad that they finally caught this piece of crap, because the rumors that have been circulating for round and round, finally, they caught this guy. Shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. Let me know what you think about P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, piece of crap. I was about to cuss on here, but I don't want to cuss on here. I'm being good. I'm being good. But Stephen A. Smith, not a super fan of, but let's see what he has to say.
Sean P. Diddy Combs. That's the subject right now. The topic is serious. It's a federal case against Sean P. Diddy Combs. The bad boy entertainment mogul was arrested overnight at a Manhattan hotel and taken into custody by U.S. Homeland Security investigators. The investigators were acting on a sealed indictment filed by the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. The 14-page indictment, which I have read, which was unsealed today, charges Diddy with sex trafficking and racketeering. The federal government has accused Diddy of directing a vast criminal enterprise that he used to assault and traffic women. Here's a section of the indictment that essentially lays out the broad case against Diddy. He's accused of, quote, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
I got to pause it real quick because this is huge. A lot of people are involved in this, just like the Epstein situation, presumably. I got to say that for the YouTubes. A lot of people presumably have been seen at this guy's freak fests, or whatever he calls them.
This end quote. The indictment also alleges Diddy used force or threats of force to coerce women to engage with male sex workers. The indictment goes on to say those acts, which were called, quote, freak-offs, end quote, sometimes lasted days and were often recorded. Federal prosecutors say various recordings were seized during the raids on Diddy's home in Los Angeles, homes, not one home, homes, as in plural, in Los Angeles and Miami earlier this year. The government also alleges participants of the quote-unquote freak-offs were often given controlled substances like ketamine and ecstasy to keep victims, quote, obedient and compliant, end quote. Combs will appear in federal court today, where he's expected to plead not guilty. Federal prosecutors laid out the case against Diddy during a press conference earlier today in New York City, during which prosecutors also said they want bail denied and they want Diddy to remain in jail until his trial. P. Diddy Combs is expected to plead not guilty, and his attorneys say he deserves to be released until the trial date. Diddy's wave of legal troubles was spurred by a bombshell lawsuit filed by ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in November. The R&B singer accused the mogul of rape, sex trafficking, and physical abuse. The lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount a day after it was brought.
1 day after.
He's in a world of trouble, y'all.
He is.
My God, is he in a world of trouble. First of all, say some local police department. This is Homeland Security. So let's get that out the way first. This is Homeland Security. First off. Secondly, the sex trafficking, the physical abuse is something the ex-girl accused him of. Remember, he settled that the next day after the case, after she publicized it. He settled the case the next day. But it was thereafter that the video came out with him running down the hallway, snatching her, throwing her to the ground, kicking her, throwing a vase at her, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all remember that infamous video? He came on and he apologized and he acknowledged that he was in a real bad, effed up place. That's what he said. That's what he said. So you admitted you were messed up. You admitted that your act was egregious. It's the apology. Remember when he gave that quote unquote apologetic video right there? A lot of people weren't buying it because it was shortly removed from him categorically and emphatically denying there was any truth to the allegations that were levied against him. It was only after the video came out that he had to fess up and own up to it. And even then, people didn't believe that his level of contrition was satisfactory. So we all knew this was coming. But when you hear racketeering conspiracy, when you hear sex trafficking by force, when you hear that drugs were used to keep them obedient and compliant, when you hear about the transportation to engage in prostitution, male sex workers, and all of this other stuff, he's in a world of trouble. And I hate to bring up this name, but it is apropos in this particular situation. Remember what Suge Knight said? Y'all remember that? When Suge Knight said he was in a world of trouble? Because Suge Knight said, listen, he knows a lot. And so you're looking at a potential situation where it could arguably mirror that of Jeffrey Epstein. Remember him? August 10th, 2019, prison guards found, I'm reading right from online, guards found American financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein unresponsive in his jail cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City, where he was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Tried to perform CPR, couldn't resuscitate him, pronounced dead at a downtown hospital at 6:39 a.m. What it went on to say in the reports that there were violations because normal jail procedures on the night of Epstein's death wasn't followed. It talked about a malfunction of 2 cameras in front of his cell. And you got people still to this very day with their conspiracy theories being thrown out there that it wasn't suicide, but ultimately intentional harm was brought to him because he knew too much about too many people. That's what Suge Knight alluded to when he was talking about P. Diddy. And as we sit here today, who the hell can deny that potential reality? Do we know? No. We don't know. But what we do know is that these are federal charges. What we do know is that his attorney has been on the record saying that he flew to New York as recently as a couple of weeks ago because they knew this was coming down the pike. And he wanted to show compliance and that he wasn't running from anything. And he's expected to plead not guilty. And he turned himself in, and months earlier had turned his passports in, and family members had also turned their passports in. But let's lay this out because we need to understand it. We need to gather a level of education in our own brains to edify ourselves to the kind of trouble you can get yourself in sometimes. Him, obviously so. Clearly, you can sit up there and say you're innocent until proven guilty. Nah. That's in the court of law. In the court of public opinion, he's already been found guilty. Can we just be real about that? In the court of public opinion, not law. In the court of public opinion, ain't a damn soul think he's innocent. I'm not denigrating or castigating the brother, whatever. I met him at a Golden State Warriors game. One time I went to a party and it was supposed to be his party. I never saw nothing like that. But without mentioning any names, without incriminating anybody, you see the names? Do you see the people who have befriended him over the years, who have attended his parties, who are considered close to him, who he's been in business with? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? I mean, this has gotten very, very scary. Hollywood's in trouble. Hip-hop and R&B is in trouble. Because the brother's an elite success story, had a lot of friends, had a lot of people vouch, or once upon a time vouched for him, in terms of his brilliance as an artist, a producer rather. Brother knew how to make money. And now here we are. When you're in that position and you know so much, I got news for you. It's gotten very, very scary. If it were just him, it would be sad. It would be very unfortunate. But I use the word scary because I get the impression, to put it kindly, that his life ain't the only life that's going to be affected. Ooh. That they ain't after him just to get him. You got Homeland Security involved. You got the feds involved. I got news for you. They ain't coming just for him. They coming for a whole bunch of people. Hollywood's in trouble. I'm not talking about actors and actresses. I'm talking about the music industry. Because anybody that was associated with him are going to be considered suspect. I'm not saying any names because I ain't trying to do that to anybody. I'm not wishing that on anybody. But what I'm saying to you is that when you are associated with a figure that is being accused of the multitude of egregious acts that he has been accused of, sex trafficking, racketeering, drug use, prostitution, flying folks across state lines and all of this other stuff. Yo, I'm glad P. Diddy's got money. They talking about $50 million bond. They talking about his house on Star Island that's worth about $48 million and, you know, putting that up as collateral.
He just paid that off too.
They rejected that, by the way. They rejected that. Prosecutors are calling for him to be in jail. They're saying he's a danger to society. You can't leave him out on the streets. So the question now is he going to get bail? At least at the time that we're recording this episode. We don't know the answer to that yet. But I'm telling you right now, anytime the feds are coming your way, they're not coming just for you. They're not coming. I can't wait till Kevin Frazier, my man for Entertainment Tonight, comes on the show in a few minutes. I can't wait because let me tell you something. There's lessons to be peeled from all of this. Be careful about the enemies that you crop up. Be careful about people that have a target on your back. The people you've alienated, you've infuriated. Think about the people he's done business with. Think about the money involved. Think about how it would have been in folks' best interest to shut the hell up and never say anything. Yet somehow, some way, this stuff evidently was going on for years, according to the feds. And almost nobody said anything. That was before. And then suddenly, when things go bad, there's videotapes. There's recordings. There's surveillance cameras. There's electronic equipment. There's a multitude of statements. Clearly, he's in a world of trouble. This man is one of the richest people in the world. And he can't lead a country. At this moment, he can't lead a state. For all we know, by the end of the day, he won't be able to leave a jail cell. You're going after him like this, not just because he's some well-known figure, not just because he's P. Diddy, not just because you want to get him off the streets in your eyes if you're the feds, because supposedly you want to stop him from committing these criminal acts. You're after an enterprise. You're after an abundance of people. And I got news for you. If it were just people employed under Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, or anything else, that would be one thing. I'm just telling you from my experience in media for all of these decades. You don't do all of this to go after somebody and their coworkers. You do this because there's a bigger fish to fry. And you suspect that he's the one that's going to nail it for you. That's my take on it.
I think Stephen A is right. There are a lot of people. You guys can say their names in the chat if you'd like to, presumably, that he's been associated with over the years. And he's right. He's just one of the front men, the provider of it all. Crazy. Crazy. Let me know what you guys think about this entire situation. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. Share, subscribe. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.